to the Bearded Podcast. We took a little bit of a break for Christmas and New Year's and all of that jazz, but we are back here with the Bearded Podcast. I, of course, am the man with the plan, the man you got to stand, Jordan Crouton Moore, and I'm joined, as always, by this guy to my left, Dylan. How are you doing today? I know you're not feeling the top of the world, but you had a good day otherwise.
I mean, my day started like an hour, 20 minutes ago because, given the circumstances. But yeah, I'm a little bit in shambles right now in terms of my physical health, but it's cool. So I'm going to go take your advice, go stop at CVS later and get whatever you recommended to me. So
I'll send you a picture.
sounds good.
But no, so first off, I think that it's very important for us to touch on what happened last Monday night with the Damar Hamlin situation and all of that. Our thoughts and prayers are obviously still with Damar and his family as he continues to be in the ICU in a very ill condition. But thankfully, we've had a lot of really good reports over the last 3 or 4 hours about Damar's health, about how he's communicating, about how he is doing all that stuff. Neurologically, he's doing fine, which is fantastic. I mean, he was even conscious enough to be able to ask who won the game on Monday after he left. So, that's always a great sign. Extremely, extremely scary situation that happened on Monday. I know Dylan and I were both super excited about that game. And the moment that happened, we were just messaging each other like, what in the world is going on? And we heard CPR, we heard all of these things. And it's got to be one of the scariest things I've ever watched as an NFL viewer, to have an injury that severe go on the big screen, in one of the biggest games of the year, if not the biggest game of the year so far. And that was scary, but man, prayers have been working, thoughts have been working because, Damar's good and he's still living, still alive. He's there. And we actually just got word from the NFL that they are not going to reschedule the Monday Night Football game. So they're still determining how that's going to work with the playoff, but that Bills-Bengals game will no longer be played. That is completely void. So not going to be rescheduling that game. But once again, even more than a game, even more than all of that stuff, I'm just thankful that Damar Hamlin is okay.
I mean, yeah, me too, obviously. It sounds like he's still got a little bit of ways to go, but it sounds like everything is trending in the right direction that, we've heard so far. So that's obviously good. It was really just, I don't even know how to describe it. Just sitting there, like, watching the game. Like, the game started, I was like, dude, this could be, like, the game of the year. Like, and, like, the way the game started, like, it appeared that was going to come to fruition. But obviously one takes precedent over the other. It was a scary situation to watch. We're all kind of just sitting there tuned in. You hear Joe Buck talking about how he saw CPR going on down on the field. Then we get the reports that he was resuscitated twice, I believe, while he was laying on the field. So just a really freak incident, scary situation. But one thing that doesn't help this is you have absolute clowns like Skip Bayless and Bart Scott who think they need to take an incident like this and a freak accident like this, and with Bart Scott start assessing blame, and then Skip Bayless take the time to try his best to go get clicks on social media while somebody could possibly have died on the football field. So I think everybody's familiar with the fact that these two are a bunch of clowns. I don't know how they are. I don't know how they're still employed and get to go on national TV every single day, every week. I got a DM on my Cowboys page that, hey, Cowboys fans, Skip Bayless's tweet represents what all you guys think. Hey, fun fact, dumbass, no, it does not. So no, I think most Cowboys fans, if not all, do not claim Skip Bayless. So it's just it wasn't surprising to me, but I feel like I needed to say that I'm not, I don't want to hold back with that. So I think both those guys are morons, and that's that. But shining light on what the real issue is. Obviously, it's good that Damar Hamlin's on the up and up. So
absolutely it is. And last thing that I'm going to say about this, I don't know if there's anything else you want to say, but last thing that I'm going to say is just I want to give a round of applause to the to the Bengals and the Bills staff that was down there, the medical staff that was able to give CPR. I want to give a big round of applause to those guys, because being able to act in that kind of pressure with the teams huddled around you and 70,000 people in an arena going crazy wondering what happened is phenomenal. And then I finally just want to shout out the people that were on that ESPN broadcast. I mean, I think it was handled the absolute perfect way. Whenever I realized that Joe Buck was on that call, I was like, oh no, what is this guy going to say? And he handled it absolutely perfectly. I think there was a lot of really good things that were said during that time. And I just want to give a round of applause to those two guys, because, you know, in my broadcasting classes, like, I've been taught that, like, you're never going to know what to say whenever those moments happen, if those moments happen. And they did such a phenomenal job. They were true professionals about it, and I thought that was incredible. So just round of applause to both of those guys. But unless you've got anything else to say, I think it's time we jump into some football action. Let's talk about last week. You were there in Atlanta for the Ohio State-Georgia game. What a game that was. It was incredible. Both teams played their asses off. And, you know, I know you're not feeling too well, so I don't want you to go too crazy unless you just really feel like you need to. But I thought it was a fantastic game. I hate that you guys went out the way that you did, because after everything that I saw in that game, through 3 quarters, you guys absolutely destroyed the Bulldogs and really had their number.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really not shocked at all that Ohio State can play the way they did. Excuse me.
Oh, yeah.
What was the spread going into that? Wasn't it like -5.5?
Yeah, I think it was 5.5 or 6.5.
I don't know why. I feel like I just didn't want to sit there and have to sweat on top of the fact that I'll be sweating from the game in general.
Yeah.
But I should have hammered that 5.5. Easy to say now, but
Yeah.
you know, I'm not shocked that Ohio State came to play. I'm really not. You know, one person I want to talk about, obviously, after that game is C.J. Stroud. The only thing I've really went after him about, and you know, most Ohio State fans can agree with me, is the fact that he just would not run the ball when the opportunity was given. He would not run the football. He did that this game. Quite frankly, he's the only reason we were even in position to kick a field goal, was him running the football.
Mm-hmm.
So, that was good to see. I think that's a hell of a cap to his career. I think he's obviously going to get a draft. So, I think it's going to take some time for him to develop as a pro. I really do stand by like most of the things I've said about him, and I don't want you know, I want those things to come across as me hating. It's just, you know, it's the truth. But at the same time, you know, going to the NFL is only going to make him better, I think. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see where he goes. So I wanted to shout out him. You know, I'm wondering, I got to sit here and I have to ask myself, would that game have turned out differently if Marvin Harrison did not go out of the game? I think most would agree that it would have been different. So, you know, I don't know. I'm proud of the team. You know, there were a couple, you know, the defense, that's an issue. If I had to give Jim Knowles a letter grade in his first year, I'm giving him a C or like C minus. Looking great against teams that aren't very good, but you know, we get down here and he has the best defensive line that he, you know, has ever had in his coaching career. And I think we got like 2 sacks on Stetson Bennett. So it's like, it starts there. And then you just have cornerbacks getting toasted. And here's the thing. I'm sitting there next to Tyler at this game, right? So Georgia was down. I don't remember exactly how much they were down, but it was to a point where I was like, you know, they're going to get a quick score here, and then they're going to get the ball. We're going to get a 3-and-out or something like that, and they're going to have a chance to win this game by 1 point. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, not that we didn't have the chance to go down with those 56 seconds and 3 timeouts and do anything. We just ended up missing the field goal, obviously. But they had that quick score where, dude, this guy was – we had no defenders anywhere to be found when they scored. And I was like, here we go. I literally just said, I'm like, they're going to score quick, and they're going to get the ball back, and they're going to score again. That's exactly what happened. But I'm not using that as an excuse, because we obviously had a chance right in front of our faces to go and make that field goal. But you make some, you miss some, you win some, you lose some. So I can't complain. I mean, Georgia is right now still holding the reins as the best team in the country. So if that's how we're going to go out to the best team in the country here, then so be it. So exactly. I'll be interested to see. There's some things that need to be fixed, but we'll see if they get fixed next year.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the only real problem that I had with any performance in that game really came down to just those last couple of plays in the game. I feel like if you are the Ohio State play caller in that situation. I feel like, yeah, you're trying to get your team in a better position. You're going to throw the ball in that situation. But I think they should have run the ball for those last 2 downs. You know it's going to come down most likely to a field goal. You got to put your kicker in a better chance, in a better spot. And even if it was only 2 or 3 more yards, I mean, obviously that kick was so far off that 2 or 3 more yards wouldn't have helped, but maybe it would have helped put him in a better mindset that he wasn't kicking from 50 and was kicking from somewhere in the 40s. But, you know, honestly, that's all hindsight. And honestly, I don't know if that would have impacted the outcome of the game, but all I can say is that was a phenomenal game. It was great from start to finish. I was sitting in a bowling alley because it was New Year's Eve, and like everyone around us was watching the game going crazy. It was a great environment. You know, that kick happened, I think it was 5 seconds after midnight or 6 seconds after midnight. He kicked the ball, which is crazy. So maybe there was a little bit of some crazy bad luck going on with the mojo of the time and stuff. But I mean, really, it was a fantastic game. And let's talk about the other side with Michigan and TCU, and another hell of a game from TCU in Michigan that led to TCU winning this game. What did you see from these Horned Frogs going into championship game against Georgia? What did you see from them? What can they try to reproduce that they did against Michigan?
I think the thing with them is that, and this is kind of cliche, but they're bought in. They're bought into the coach. They're bought into Max Duggan. And they're just playing solid football all around. Like, they had 2 pick sixes, right? I know they had 1. They have 2.
Yeah, they did. They had 2.
So yeah, I mean, I didn't get to see the second one because I was going over to the stadium, but I saw the first one. It's like I dream of the day that an Ohio State cornerback drives on the ball like that and makes a play like that. Like I sit here and dream of a day that I could see that. But so just a solid all around game. You know, obviously, and I think, you know, going into halftime, it was only, what was the score, like 21-6 or something?
Yeah,
something like that. It was super low scoring, but it was like TCU, I think, went into the half and said, "Look, yeah, we're winning by double digits right now, but you know, we know that Michigan is going to come out and give us their absolute best punch, which is going to be something that we're going to have to maintain. We're going to have to do some damage control here, and we're going to have to step it up on our side, on the offensive side as well." So I think they had a good mindset coming out of halftime. I think they had a good mindset going in that game in general. But one thing I guess I want to ask you is, what happens with Jim Harbaugh now?
Man, honestly, I personally would love to see him get a return to the NFL. I think that he's a really, really good head coach. That's obviously no secret. He was great in the NFL, taking that San Francisco team all the way to the Super Bowl. And I think that he can come in and be a great coach again. He did the thing that he wanted to do, and he's done it 2 years in a row with beating Ohio State. He didn't win a national championship, but I'm not sure if that's going to be in his a legit possibility in the near future. So I think a return to the NFL would really be good. And I think going to a program like Carolina would probably be best for him. I don't think I would want to touch the Broncos with a 10-foot pole right now. So I don't think I would touch that situation. But I think more of a low-key rebuilding program would be perfect for Jim Harbaugh to go to. And how crazy would it be if he goes to Carolina and then Carolina drafts C.J. Stroud? That would just be one of the craziest twists of all time. So I would really like to see him return to the NFL. I think he's a phenomenal coach, and I think that he's proved that. And I think even as an Ohio State fan, you can say that he's a great coach, because I truthfully think that's where he needs to go next.
I mean, yeah, I think he should stay just one more year. I think, beating Ohio State at Michigan is their national championship. So he's done that twice now. He gets them at home next year. And he has his quarterback returning. He has a lot of his players returning. Yeah. So I think he come back. None of the jobs in the NFL right now look super convincing right now. Maybe besides like the Colts, because he played for them before. But I think it is inevitable that he will go back to the NFL. Whether it's this year, next year, whatever. But I think the path is there for him to be one of the best coaches ever, like in football in general. Yeah. Because that's true. He goes to the 49ers, takes them to the Super Bowl, and nearly has a great comeback against the Ravens.
With a pretty mediocre team, by the way. With a pretty mediocre team. That team was not anything fantastic.
Right. So he did that. Then he goes to Michigan, and it took him a minute, but he finally, overcomes and beats Ohio State. He's beat us twice in a row now, obviously. which, who was the last Michigan coach to do that? Maybe like Lloyd Carr or something back in like the late 80s or 90s. Well, probably the 90s. So yeah, I mean, and then if he can go to the NFL and do something again, like he did with the 49ers, then, I think he has the chance to be one of the best coaches ever in terms of someone that's just gone and had success.
Especially at the college level, because you look at other college coaches who have transitioned to the NFL, none of them have really had the success that Jim Harbaugh did, because he had success at the NFL, came to college football, had success, and then he would have the chance to go back. Like, normally, whenever you see those college football coaches trying to go to the NFL, like you saw with the Nick Saban, like you saw with other of these really great coaches, it doesn't translate quite as perfectly, but you bring in Jim Harbaugh, someone that already has experience both playing and coaching in the NFL, and I think that you get a recipe for success. But let's talk a little bit about this game that happens on Monday, and then we'll jump into the NFL. Let's talk about TCU and Georgia. Obviously, Georgia, heavy favorites here, 12.5-point favorites with Stetson Bennett, the math teacher over here, as their what are people calling him? He looks like he's like 90, a librarian almost. But Georgia taking on TCU, of course, going to be a fantastic game. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of fireworks in this game from both sides. I think we see a game very similar to the two we saw in the semifinals, but this is going to be a heck of a game. I think Georgia takes this one personally, although I don't want them to. I want TCU to win. I think that would be such a big-time story because both of these guys have a lot to play for. Even though TCU comes in as the 3 seed, obviously the underdogs all the way through the playoffs. Georgia comes in as the 1 seed, defending champs. Both of these guys have stuff to play for, and I think this is going to be a heck of a game. I'd smash TCU at 12.5 on the spread because I think this game is going to be much closer than that.
I'm honestly going to wait. I don't know if there's an update yet or not, but I'm honestly going to wait to make my selection until we find out the status of Kendre Miller, their running back. I don't know if he's going to be playing or not. It really didn't sound like he's going to, but so I'm going to wait to see with that. But I'm definitely going to take Georgia to win the game.
For sure. But I think 12.5 is just, I think that's a little too generous for Georgia, because I think that they have shown throughout the season, even in the SEC play against teams that were worse than them, they still had some closer games. So I think Georgia is going to keep this one close. Yeah, exactly. And so I think that this game is going to stay a little bit closer than what people are expecting, but give me Georgia here. I don't think they cover 12.5, especially if Kendre Miller plays. If he doesn't, then maybe it's a little closer, like you were saying. But give me Georgia here in the national championship to go back to back. And all I'm going to say to end out college football talk is that if you are a person who's against the college football playoff expansion, what the hell is wrong with you? Because if this is the type of football we get with an expanded playoff, it should have been here a decade ago. That's all I'm saying.
Yep.
Because last weekend was phenomenal in college football. So even with all the bowl games, it was great too. Arkansas and Kansas put on a hell of a show. So it was just a good week. But let's move on to the National Football League, the NFL, where we've got a lot of really key matchups, a lot of playoff scenarios here. I'm going to actually pull up these playoff scenarios because I know there are some really crazy scenarios for some teams that, you didn't really think would have a chance to make it in the playoffs, that they have a legitimate chance. So let's look here at the NFL. Dylan, are you ready for Week 18, final week of the regular season? It's been a long time coming, and it's been a long season.
I think I said this the last time we were on here, but the regular season's been kind of mid this year. I'm not gonna lie, it's been kind of mid. Yeah. So I'm just ready to get to the playoffs. I'm ready to finish the season out. And here's my thing, and I don't want to get too far into this. I love football to death. Oh yeah. I don't know what it is this year, dude. Like, I'm just, not that I want the season to be over, because the off season obviously sucks, but it's just like, there's so much going on. Like, it's honestly like hard to be into football, like not be into football, really, like keep up with everything like I have. Like, I'm ready to get to the playoffs, watch some exciting football for about a month, and take this off season for myself, bro. Like, I kind of feel like I'm kind of feeling how the players feel right now. Like, obviously, I'm not out there getting hit and feeling like Monday morning I got hit by a truck the night before, but like, I think this off season is going to be a lot of relaxing for me too. I just Been taking a break on our Bearded Pod account on Instagram, but I will be back when the playoffs start to post on that. But just I don't know. It's been a interesting like 2 months. Past 2 months.
Been a long season. It's been fun though. Off season this year, you get to come back down to Arkansas, come to a wedding. It's gonna be fun. So, we got a lot of stuff to do in the off season. We're gonna pamper ourselves. Yep. But let's move on here. Let's talk about the NFL. First game on the docket. We've got 2 Saturday games. So we got 2 games coming up in just 2 days, and those games have some heavy playoff implications here. We've got the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Las Vegas Raiders and the Tennessee Titans taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Chiefs, if they win, I think would get the number 1 seed in the AFC because Bengals and Bills, was not finished or is not going to be resumed. So I think win percentage wise, if the Chiefs win, they lock up the bye and the home field advantage. So obviously they're going to be playing everybody. And if I can tell you one bet to do, take the over on whatever Jerick McKinnon's receiving yards is, because the Las Vegas Raiders are giving up the most receiving yards to running backs in the NFL. Take the over on him and take the Chiefs to win this game and clinch the number 1 seed.
Okay. I'm going to take, what's the spread here?
Spread is 9. So Chiefs are favored by 9 at Vegas. No Derek Carr. So
I want to so badly say the Raiders are going to cover, but I'm going to take the Chiefs to cover, and I'm going to take them obviously to win. So I'm going to take the Chiefs to cover the 9.
Yeah, and I think that is actually the highest total of the week at 52. So people expect this one to have some fireworks, and of course, whenever you've got Davante Adams and Patrick Mahomes facing off, there's going to be some fireworks. Stidham looked good last week. He targeted Davante Adams on pretty much all of his passes. So if we're going to have another performance like that, this game could be a lot closer than Chiefs fans are wanting. But I think the Chiefs take this one. And then we've got our Saturday night game. Ooh, I'm so ready for this one. Jaguars hosting the Titans. The Jaguars have a chance to make the playoffs even with a loss. But if they win, they lock up the wild card spot. So, Dylan, what do you think here? The Jaguars obviously have a lot to play for. Titans have said that Derrick Henry is off the injury report, so he will play. What are you thinking here, Josh Dobbs taking on Trevor Lawrence, who has looked like a amazing quarterback over the last couple of weeks?
What's our spread?
Our spread is, I believe, 6.5. So Jaguars are favored by 6.5 at home.
I'm taking the Titans to cover. And I think they have a real chance to win the game. I'm telling you.
Really?
I think they have a real chance to win the game, yes. So I don't know that they win or not. I'm going to take the Titans just to cover. We'll see what happens in terms of the, win-loss.
Man, I don't know, dude, but that's going to be tough. So the Jaguars, obviously clinch the playoffs if they win. The Titans clinch if they win. So this is completely one 8-8 team is going to clinch. So either the Jaguars are going to clinch with their win or the Titans are going to clinch with their win. But if they lose to the Titans, the Jaguars can still make the playoffs with a loss by the Dolphins, the Patriots, and the Steelers, which all 3 of those losses could 100% happen with the Steelers playing the Browns. Of course, you've got the Dolphins probably starting Teddy Bridgewater against the Jets, which could be a loss. And then, of course, you've got the Patriots going against the Bills. So all 3 of those losses could happen for Jacksonville. So there's a path to the playoffs for them no matter what. I hope they make it because I love Travis Etienne. I love Trevor Lawrence, and I love Doug Peterson. I think he's one of the best coaches in the NFL, and he's cemented that, being able to turn this program that was terrible last year under Urban Meyer to being so good this year and one of the most explosive teams in the NFL. But you think the Tennessee Titans have a chance to win, so we'll see how that goes. Let's move on to Sunday. We've got our first game with the Vikings and the Bears. Of course, Vikings can no longer get the number 1 seed, and they're just kind of, in there. The Vikings are going to be in the playoffs, but They're not going to be a top seed. They're just going to be one of those teams who wins their division. Going against the Bears, Vikings could legitimately rest a lot of their starters here. So not a lot on the line. Vikings favored by 7.5. What are you feeling for this game?
I like them to cover, considering the Bears do not have Nathan Peterman, or the Bears have Nathan Peterman.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take the Vikings to cover this one.
Yeah, I think that's likely to happen too. I don't know if they're going to rest any of their starters or not, if the Vikings are, if they're going to keep them with fresh legs. But if so, mash the over on Alexander Mattison props, because if they rest Dalvin Cook, that guy's going to go off. He always does. Let's move on to a game that has a lot of playoff implications here. Still no knowledge on if Lamar Jackson is going to be playing. But
he won't.
Ravens, he's not going to play. You don't think he's going to play? No. Then we've got the Bengals. Although they probably can't clinch the number 1 seed anymore, still taking on the Ravens at home. I can figure both of these teams will play all the players that they have. This is for the division, and of course, division titles mean a lot in terms of seeding. So we'll see what happens here. This is going to be a really tough game. It's always a tough game between these two. The Baltimore defense has looked really good the last couple of weeks, but, the Baltimore offense has been struggling with no Lamar Jackson. So give me the Bengals here. I don't know if they cover the 7. They might win by a field goal, but I definitely think the Bengals win here after having a pretty extended week, only playing a few minutes in the first quarter on Monday night.
Yep. I'm going to take – what's the spread, though?
7.
I'll just take Bengals money line. I know that's not going to win you a lot of money, but I'll just take the Bengals money line.
All right, let's move on to another game that doesn't mean too much. Buccaneers, of course, already clinched their division, but they are taking on the Atlanta Falcons at Atlanta. Atlanta is favored by 4 with Desmond Ridder starting. So Tampa Bay probably not going to play Tom Brady, probably not going to play Leonard Fournette, probably not going to play Mike Evans. So Atlanta is favored here. Who do you like? Do you like the Falcons to take out the Buccaneers? Or do you think that the Buccaneers reserves can still hand it to the Falcons at home?
If the Buccaneers do rest their starters, then yeah, I'll take the Falcons. But if the Buccaneers are going to play, which I haven't seen anything that contradicts that, then I'm taking the Bucs in this game.
Yeah, the only reason why I'm thinking that the Buccaneers might not is because they don't have anything to play for. They can't move up in seeding. They're going to be at the number 4 seed because they're going to win their division. They can't move up. They can't move down, obviously, because Cowboys, 49ers, and Eagles is so set in stone at the top 3. So I think it'll be interesting to see this, but obviously they don't have much to play for. So if they do rest their starters, I think the Falcons win. If they don't, then obviously the Bucs will win. Let's move on to another game with a little bit of playoff implications. Not too much, but just a little bit, because if the Dolphins win against the Jets, they have to have the Patriots lose to the Bills, and they are in with Teddy Bridgewater and Skylar Thompson. Of course, no Tua playing this week, most likely. So what do you think about this one, Dylan? Do you think the Dolphins have a chance to make the playoffs and with a win here against the Jets, or do you think that the Jets and Mike White take care of business in Miami?
I'm going with the Dolphins. I think that the Jets, the fact that they got eliminated, I think that's going to be on the minds of everybody. It's kind of look towards next year mode right now for them. I think Robert Saleh will have them come to play at least, but sure. The spread's what, -1?
Yeah, it's
so, and I find it hard to believe, even with Tua not playing, that the Dolphins drop 6 straight to end their season. Like I don't know about that one, especially against the Jets. I think they get the win here. I'm going to take the Dolphins.
I think so too, especially at home. But the Jets are actually favored by 1 point.
Is Teddy playing, or is it Skylar Thompson?
I believe that Teddy is playing this week. I'm not. Don't quote me on that. I can actually check right now. I'm gonna look. But I think that Teddy is playing this week. I'm gonna go see right now. But nonetheless, I think that this is going to be a win for the no matter who it is playing. I think it's going to be a win because I think that the Dolphins' run game has enough weapons to carry them through this. Yes, yeah. Teddy Bridgewater is playing, so there you go, Teddy B. But let's move on here to another division game. This one also has some playoff implications, but they're really, really minuscule playoff implications, and that is the Steelers and the Browns here going on. Deshaun Watson has not been everything that the Browns were hoping for over the last couple of weeks. He's not really been the Deshaun that they were wanting, but of course they have plenty of off seasons to try and get him back to his full form. But the Steelers can clinch the playoffs still if they win and have a Dolphins loss and a Patriots loss. So obviously the Steelers still have a way in. The Steelers, I think it would be great to see them get another winning season with Mike Tomlin just to submit how good of a coach that guy is. But I honestly think that I think the Browns walk into Pittsburgh and take care of business against the Steelers. I think the Browns, they don't have anything to play for, but they are going to come out and take care of the Steelers because it is a divisional matchup.
I agree. I'm taking the Browns here. Second week in a row, I'll be betting on the Browns. Last week worked out handily for me. And no, Steelers fans, sorry, you guys shouldn't have got in last year and you did. So that was your one luck charm right there. Yeah. So yeah, it ain't happening this year. But I will say, like, I do have to give credit where it's due. Like, you guys do have reason to be excited with Kenny Pickett. So
absolutely. I'm
gonna take the Browns though. So
for sure, Kenny Pickett has absolutely been the best quarterback we've seen. Malik Willis has been an absolute bust. I mean, good God Almighty, he has not been good whenever he's played for the Titans. And Desmond Ridder also hasn't looked that good. But we've got to look at another guy that I'll talk about in just a minute when we get to the late afternoon games that I actually think is the second best quarterback coming out of that draft. So we'll take a look at him in just a little bit. But let's move on to a game that I think is going to be on everyone's minds, and everyone is going to be watching: the Patriots at the Bills. Obviously, Patriots get into the playoffs with the win against the Bills, but man, I think that the Bills are going to whoop the Patriots this week. I think that they're going to go out with that number 3 sticker on their helmet. They're going to win a game. They're going to do it for Damar Hamlin. And I think that this is not even going to be close. I take the Bills to cover the spread. I think the Patriots are knocked out from the playoffs, and I think the Bills take care of business here at Buffalo. And I think the support for Hamlin is just going to be incredible.
Yep, I'm going to take the Bills here as well. I think that's an obvious pick this week, and that might be like – I feel like a lot of people are going to put money on that game, but yeah, I'm going to take the Bills.
Yeah, for sure. I think the Bills definitely take a win there. Let's talk about 2 games that have absolutely zero playoff implications. So we're just going to run through these real quick. Carolina at New Orleans. Give me New Orleans. Obviously, neither of those teams have anything to play for right now, but hey, Carolina actually has looked pretty decent with Sam Darnold. He's looked like a competent quarterback over the last few weeks. And then I'm going to take the Saints there. Are you also going to take the Saints, or are you going to go with the Carolina Panthers?
Dude, I'm going to just say screw it and go Panthers. I don't know.
There you go.
I think that's going to be – I don't – like, I was just looking at that earlier this week. I'm like – or like when the odds came out, I was like, dude, like, I kind of like the Panthers here. But at the same time, like, it's kind of hard to pick these games because I think next we're probably going to talk about the Colts-Texans.
Yeah.
Something we haven't talked about is that these teams, these matter in terms of draft picks. So
yeah, I think Houston's already locked up number 1, but
they have to lose. They have to lose.
Oh, they have to lose? I thought that they already locked it up.
So the situation is the Texans win and the Bears lose. The Bears get it. If the Texans lose and the Bears win, the Texans get it.
I don't really think that matters. I don't really think that matters because I think the same players are going to go 1 and 2 regardless of who gets the first 2 picks. I just think they might swap order. Because I honestly think that if the Texans have the first pick, I think they pick Bryce Young number 1 in the draft.
Okay. What if it's the Bears?
I think
they move back.
I think if it's the Bears, they either move back and try and get a really good wide receiver in the first round, like a Jackson Smith-Njigba, or they just go somebody like Will Anderson for just pass rush for the Bears. I think one of those 2 picks is very likely. If you're the Bears, I think you either move back and try to get a good wide receiver, or you take a defensive piece that you can just 100% rely on. But obviously, has some draft implications. I think the Texans are still going to end up with Bryce Young regardless. So congratulations, Texans fans. You've hopefully found a quarterback for the future, even though Alabama quarterbacks, have been kind of up and down. But nonetheless, let's jump into these afternoon games. We've got 5. Wait, am I reading that right? 5 afternoon games? Good God almighty. Playing a lot of games in the afternoon, probably because there's no Monday night game. But we've got them Dallas Cowboys taking on the Washington Commanders at Washington with who, in my opinion, is the second best quarterback in this draft last year with Sam Howell starting for the Washington Commanders. I think that this should have happened before they put Wentz back in there. Ron Rivera obviously does not know how the damn playoffs work because he would not have had Carson Wentz in there last year while they got their asses kicked last week. So give me the boys here. 7.5 favorites. Obviously, huge playoff implications here. Cowboys get the number 1 seed with a Cowboys win and a Philadelphia Eagles and San Francisco 49ers loss. So Cowboys still have a way into the playoffs at this point. I think that they're going to come out. They're going to play their hearts out. And I think you're going to see every wheel churning for these Dallas Cowboys as they take a win against rookie Sam Howell and the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, I agree. Not much more needs to be said.
Easy peasy. Are you excited to watch Sam Howell? Because I feel like he went under the radar. Because I think at North Carolina he was really good.
He looked good in the preseason, but I mean, I don't know. I hope this isn't a case of us looking ahead because we do have Tom Brady, who we've never beat, next week. So.
Oh yeah, no, I'm absolutely not looking ahead, and I honestly think that we will get our asses handed to us in the playoffs. So I'm not too worried. So it always happens as a Cowboys fan. It always happens. Let's talk about another game with playoff implications. We got the New York Giants, who have just clinched playoffs for the first time under Brian Daboll. And man, what a coach that guy is. I mean, what a coach. He turned that whole program around, made Daniel Jones an actual good quarterback. I mean, just incredible from Brian Daboll. But they're going in. They're going to rest their starters. I've already heard that Saquon Barkley's not playing against the Eagles, so it looks like the Eagles are probably just going to lock up the number 1 seed unless something crazy happens. But Eagles favored by 14 here. I don't want to touch that spread because gross. But you might sprinkle in like $10 on Giants money line at plus 600 because anything could happen. Anything could happen, and we still don't know if Jalen Hurts is actually playing. So, give me the Eagles here to win this game. Unfortunately, don't want to touch the spread. I doubt they cover a 14-point spread, but I never want to touch it whenever things are this lopsided. So, give me the Eagles here. Don't touch the spread.
Agreed.
So let's move on to another NFC matchup. And this one has some playoff implications. So let me read this to you. We've got Seahawks at Rams, okay? Baker Mayfield looked like a competent quarterback the last few weeks. He screwed me on a couple of bets, but we won't talk about that. Seahawks will clinch the playoffs. If they win at the Rams, or win versus the Rams, the Packers lose or tie, the Lions and Packers tie, and the Commanders lose or tie versus the Cowboys. So the Seahawks will get in if they beat the Rams and the Packers tie or lose to the Lions and the Commanders tie or lose to the Cowboys. So
here's
definitely
the thing.
a legitimate possibility.
It is, but here's the thing. They're not beating the Rams. So the Seahawks are not going to the playoffs this year. But the fact that they're still in the race in Week 18 is impressive, but give me the Rams this week at like plus 260 or whatever it was.
Absolutely. And the Seahawks are going to be right back to rebuilding next year because I'm sure Geno Smith is going to go play for like Washington or something next year. So we'll see what happens here with this, but give me the Rams to win this one here as well. I know it's at Seattle and the Rams have nothing to play for, but that's just the kind of team that's going to upset somebody. So give me the Rams here going against the Seahawks. Don't think the Seahawks make the playoffs. Let's move on here. We've got the 49ers and the Cardinals. Obviously, if the Eagles lose, the 49ers get the number 1 seed with a win here at the Cardinals. I think they definitely win. It's another 14-point spread here, but I think the 49ers take care of business here, and then they sit and they wait to see what happens with the Cowboys and the Eagles, which all happen in the same timeline, so that's good.
Yep.
So,
what's the Sunday night game?
What'd you say?
What's the Sunday night game?
The Sunday night game is Detroit and Green Bay, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. But let's move on to our last game here in the afternoon before Sunday Night Football. we've got the Chargers and the Broncos. Obviously, neither of these teams have anything to play for at this point. The Chargers are already set in stone with where they're going to be in the playoffs. The Broncos suck. So honestly, I don't see this. I see this game as a win for the Broncos. I bet that the Chargers probably let Mike Williams and Keenan Allen rest during this game. So give me the Broncos here to take care of business in Denver in a game that really doesn't matter all that much.
I think it's so hard to pick because we don't know who's going to play and who's not going to play. But if the Chargers sit people, then yes, Broncos. But I'm still going to go Chargers here.
Yeah, that's definitely possible. The only thing is, like, I'm so scared to predict this right now because we don't know if Herbert's going to sit. We don't know if Everett's going to sit. We don't know if Eckler's going to sit. So I think it makes I'm not sure what's going to happen in this game. But finally, let's talk about Sunday Night Football. And I want to talk personally to the schedulers of the NFL. Why did you do this game here? Just a quick question. It would have been a much better game to put the Giants and the Eagles here, even though there's nothing to play for in that game in particular, and have the Lions, the Packers, and the Seahawks all play in the same time, because those are the ones that really matters. No matter what happens with the Seahawks, the Packers can get into the playoffs with a win. But if the Seahawks win, the Lions all of a sudden have nothing to play for on Sunday Night Football. And you removed all risk from that game at all tension of that game, because then the Packers just have to win. The Lions can't make the playoffs at all. So I think it would have made a lot more sense to put that one as your big game in the afternoon slate and move the Eagles and the Giants down, because then we'll know who's going to get the number 2 seed between the 49ers and the Cowboys, or who has the chance to get the number 1 seed. So I think there's a lot better stuff there. I think that game should have been flexed to the Sunday night spot, and Lions and Packers should have been in the afternoon. But nonetheless, we have the Lions, we have the Packers. Both of these teams have been rolling lately. Both of them have found their way on the ground too. Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon have finally found their way. And, of course, the Lions are a great ground football team. So what are you thinking here, Dylan? I think this is going to be one of the closest games of the week. And I'm not sure how to feel about this one, but I think I'm going to take the Packers here to win against the Lions at Lambeau.
I'm definitely taking the Packers here.
Yeah, for sure. And it's so crazy.
I'm not having Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is not getting this far and getting this close to, the playoffs with how their season started and not winning the game. Sorry, but no.
That's fair. That's definitely true. But hey, these Lions can be sneaky. You never know what's going to happen whenever Dan Campbell walks in. But ladies and gentlemen, I think that's going to be about it for the Bearded Podcast. It's been a fantastic little show that we've had. I'm sorry you're not feeling all that great, Dylan. I love you. I'm going to be there. But, just want to say one more time, just thoughts and prayers out with Damar Hamlin and everything that he's going through. It's fantastic that we're getting so much good news every couple of hours, and it's really encouraging to see him avoid something extremely catastrophic. Just a phenomenal week of football. We've got the national championship in the NCAA, and of course, we've got the NFL Week 18. Congratulations to everyone who won their fantasy championships. Congratulations to everyone who got second place in the fantasy championships, like you, Dylan. Congratulations to everybody. It's been great. This has been the Bearded Podcast. I'm Jordan. That's Dylan, and we'll see you guys later.